The European Union, in terms of its philosophical basis and political basis, stands on three freedoms. It's the freedom of trade in goods and services, it's the freedom of capital movements, and it's the freedom of migration. And in all respects, the first 15 years after 1990 was a wonderful time. There was a fast integration going on, culminating in the joining of Bulgaria and Romania of the European Union. You could see the integration speeding up and the East and Central European parts of Europe becoming an integral part of Europe, economically and politically. In the last few years, things have become considerably more difficult. This is so first because in the Western part in particular, people get somehow tired of globalization and of more trade and more integration, because that is also, if you have more trade, you have to adjust yourself to the new conditions, and that is partly painful. And we have seen in recent times a wave of anti-trade, anti-globalization movements in the Western part, notably in the country where I come from, in Germany. Second, the financial crisis, the world financial crisis, has also not been helpful, because suddenly people are very much afraid of integration of international capital markets. But we need this integration. We also need rules for it, but it would be a disaster if this integration doesn't go on. And the debt crisis in southern European countries added another dimension to it. So the southern Europeans were much afraid of the austerity that was necessary to restore stability, and the northern countries didn't want, many people in the northern countries didn't really want to help, and the southern countries need the help. And finally, the third point, and maybe the most disquieting one, is that migration becomes ever less popular. Britain recently voted for the Brexit, and the main argument in the political Brexit debate was that the British people did not really want the migration, notably from Eastern European countries, notably from Poland, from Romania, to go on as it did in the past. This is a very bad development, because the migration was good for Britain in the end, and it was of course good for countries like Poland and Romania in the transitional period in which they are in. So when you look at all three freedoms, you see dark clouds on the horizon, and we liberals have to work that the spirit of freedom is preserved and revitalized.